Madhyana Janananda Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Kapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upagada Mayam Dadati Swapadanti Mam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gauravanta Vrindavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. This morning we're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you hear at the back? Little echo. We're reading from the Adi Lila, chapter 4, text number 189. The title of the chapter is The Confidential Reasons for the Lord's Appearance. Please repeat. A. Virodhera Eka Matra Deki Samadhana Gopikara Sukha Krishna Sukhe Payavasana Evi Vodera Eka Matra Deki Samadhana Gopikara Sukha Krishna Sukhe Payavasana Evirodera Ekamatra Deki Samadhana Gopikara Sukha Krishna Sukhe Payavasana Evirodera Ekamatra Deki Samadhana Gopikara Sukha Krishna Sukhe Payavasana Evirodera Ekamatra Deki Samadhana Gopika Sukha Krishna Sukhe Payavasana A. This Virodhera of the contradiction. Eka, one. Matra, only. Deki, I see. Samadhana, solution. Gopikara, of the gopis. Sukha, the happiness. Krishna Sukhe, in the happiness of Lord Krishna. Paya Vasana, the conclusion. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. For this contradiction, I see only one solution. The joy of the gopis lies in the joy of their beloved Krishna. Purport. The situation of the gopis is perplexing. For although they did not want personal happiness, it was imposed upon them. Am I speaking okay? Not too loud, not too... Okay. This is a new system. I'm used to this one. The solution to this perplexity is that... I was chanting Hare Krishna. It's the solution to the perplexity. You answered the question. The solution to this perplexity is that Sri Krishna's sense of happiness is limited by the happiness of the gopis. Devotees at Vrindavan, therefore, try to serve the gopis, namely Radharani and her associates. If one gains the favor of the gopis, he easily gains the favor of Krishna, because on the recommendation of the gopis, Krishna at once accepts the service of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya therefore wanted to please the gopis instead of Krishna. But his contemporaries misunderstood him. And for this reason, Lord Chaitanya renounced the order of householder life and became a sannyasi. End of purport. Is that okay? One verse is okay? Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for giving your association this morning, especially my esteemed godbrothers, Hari Story Prabhu, and Pritu Prabhu, Aristanasa Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu, and so many others. The God sisters here today. Thank you for being with us and giving us this chance to remember this topic here in Sri Vrindavan Dham. I thought about this particular verse a little bit yesterday, and I'm sure we could all see very deeply how important this subject is. It's one thing to hear it. Simply by hearing alone, we can become inspired, purified, and so on. We may remember it. We may repeat it. It may be beyond our, let's say, eligibility. We may have some concept of this state of consciousness, of where actual love, real love, the difference between love and lust. We could look at this verse from the point of view of the historical event of Lord Chaitanya accepting the renounced order of life, or try to describe some of the states of loving relationships between the Lord and his gopis. Many angles we could look at it, but I chose to try to look into the mood, and how this relates to our humble or little efforts to try to follow in the footsteps of the gopis. It's a pretty elevated statement. Because their love is, we all know it's the topmost. It's unique. In this world, it's almost inconceivable. As much as people say, I love you, basically we're saying, you make me happy, therefore I love you. Love in this world is not selfless. There may be a tinge of selflessness in relationship, but it's founded on the basis of seeing ourselves in the center. Spiritual world, as we can see from this verse, is very instructive. It's right in the middle of a very confidential, you could say, series of verses, confidential in one sense, but in another sense, Srila Prabhupada has revealed this to us. He wants us to hear it. He wants us to try to follow a path. Lord Chaitanya has not come into this world just to, let's say, teach a practice, but he's also come to give us the goal. So this verse helps us to understand what is the progress, what is the process towards that goal. And I'm going to read a verse which is relevant to the goal, the process, and the mood of which we're finding in today's verse. This is a verse which is perhaps known to many of you. I'm not a scholar. Anyone could have done this. I mean, I'm just looking up verses. We have a very useful tool these days called, I'm sure there are many others, but there's the database. Now we have artificial intelligence and other means by which you can search out various informations. But we have our database, which is, of course, you could say Srila Prabhupada's Vani, and others, of course, the Acharyas also. But there we find one verse which was quoted many times by Srila Prabhupada. It comes from a writing. It's not actually from the Chaitanya Charitamrita or one of the biographies of Lord Chaitanya. It's a little vague as to who the actual compiler of this verse is. Some say it's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, some say it's Bilvamangal Thakur, some say it's a devotee named Sri Nathji, follower of Advaita Acharya. But whoever it is, it captures the mission of Lord Chaitanya, the purpose of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. And we quote this verse quite well. We quote usually lines of this verse, not necessarily the whole verse. Prabhupada quotes this verse on dozens and dozens and dozens of occasions. I don't know how many, but many occasions. It's from the Chaitanya Manjusha, sometimes known as Chaitanya Mati Manjusha. It's a commentary, in one sense, on the Srimad Bhagavatam, but this verse particularly is interesting to note that at the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, what does Prabhupada write about in the very introduction of the Srimad Bhagavatam? What does he write about? Does anyone recollect? Probably we don't read it when we go through our reread of the Bhagavatam. What does he write about? Yes, Mataji. I think you said what I was expecting. I heard the name Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The life and teachings or precepts of Lord Chaitanya. It seems to be maybe very distant to many people, unaware. Most of the world is unaware of Lord Chaitanya, isn't it? How many people in India are aware of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, other than ISKCON and Gaudiya Vaishnavas? How many? Pardon? Not so many, huh? Maybe more now. The Acharyas, our recent Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada specifically, through his books, through the missions, Lord Chaitanya is becoming familiar. How much people follow or know is another thing. But Prabhupada put that first before Srimad Bhagavatam as a prelude. Srimad Bhagavatam is not easy to understand. Huh? Who has that said? I may understand, Shukadeva Goswami may understand. Not sure if Vyasadeva understands or not. Srimad Bhagavatam is very deep. It's not just a book with information which we remember and try to, speak. It's good, purifying, but it's unlimitedly deep. So this gives us little ideas. Some of you know, I'll say the Sanskrit, I can't say that I can. I don't have any books with me, so I have to use the technology of computers. Another good use of these inventions. Adyo Bhagavan Vajeshatanayasta Dhamma Vrindavan Ramya Kriched-upasana Bhajabadu Vagenaya Kapita Srimad Bhagavatam Param Kamanam Amalam Prema Pumarta Mahan. That's the famous verse, isn't it? Prema Pumarta Mahan. What does that mean? Prema Pumarta Mahan. Many of you quote this regularly. What is the meaning? Feature knows everything. Yes, prema, love of Krishna. This is the highest goal of life. Most people don't know this either, even in India. This is the ultimate goal behind all so-called dharmas, arthas, moksha, everything. The ultimate goal is pure love of God. These verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita are indicating what, some angle, there are many angles, but this is a very significant angle of what love of God means. And we'll try to see how we can evolve and develop that in our own lives. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Midam Tatradara Paraha. This is the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Son of Nanda Maharaj, is to be worshipped along with the transcendental abode of Vrindavan. The most pleasing form of worship for the Lord is that which is performed by the gopis of Vrindavan. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless authority on everything. And pure love of God is the ultimate goal of life for all men. These statements, for which we have the highest regard, are the opinion of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In many ways, this is a summation of Lord Chaitanya's mission. What he's bringing to the world. I hope you bear with me. I'm going to read a short comment on this from His Holiness Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Ramya Kachidupasana Brajavadu Vagena Yakalpita. The gopis, the damsels of Brajabhumi, are rendering the topmost loving service to Krishna with pure love. Krishna says the gopis are Madgata Prana. You remember that in the Bhagavad-Gita? Madgata Prana? Their lives are surrendered. They're completely sold out to me. Their lives are completely devoted to me. Gopi Jana Mama. The gopis are so dear to me. They have developed such love for me. I have become so indebted to them that naparaye. Where does this term naparaye come in? There's a book by Shivaram Maharaj called Naparayaham. Where does it come in? That Krishna can never repay the debt to his dearmost devotees, the gopis. He can never repay it. This appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also totally in line with this debt which the Lord feels to his gopis. I cannot pay back that debt. They expect nothing from Krishna. They don't expect anything from Krishna. This is another unique feature of this verse today. They're not expecting anything. We're always tendency to expect something, isn't it? We expect. It's natural, a conditioned soul. They only want to give him pleasure. They don't want anything else. They just want to give him pleasure. Hari Sori Prabhu, all the devotees who are here today, especially Hari Sori Prabhu was Prabhupada's personal servant for many years. You know what that means very personally, right? To give pleasure to the one you love, and you don't care what happens, isn't it? That's all your life's about, to give pleasure to Prabhupada, isn't it? Prabhupada said that's love. They only want to give him pleasure. They are prepared to go to hell and suffer forever, if required, the pleasure of Krishna. This is the mood of a devotee. This is the mood. Devotees are going to hell. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mean like that. But going to places like Athens. People go there for their holidays. I've just come from Athens. It's like hell. London, Prabhupada said, was hell. New York is hell. We see it as heaven. In some ways. Why are the devotees going there? We may have been born there. Why did Prabhupada go there? Why, Prabhupada said, you must have some mission for me, otherwise why have you brought me to this hellish place? He's describing the United States. Some of you may be from the United States. Germany, of course, Germany is heaven, right, Pritu? Germany is heaven. Yes, must be. Absolutely. Devotees prepared to go anywhere to preach or serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Isn't it? We're trying to develop this mood. This whole mission is to try to develop this mood of the gopis. They don't want anything in return. They just want to see Krishna happy, that's all. That's their only purpose of existence. A disciple of the Guru simply wants to see the spiritual master happy, satisfied, fulfill their desire. Prabhupada's life was simply to satisfy his spiritual master's desire. He had no other desire. You can send me to heaven or hell, Prabhupada didn't mind. Such is their pure love. This is the deep purport to what Rupa Goswami has described in Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. You may be very familiar with this verse, and we take it a little lightly sometimes. Anyabilasata shunyam gyanakarmadhyanavitam anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. Following in the footsteps, keeping fully engaged. But this is the depth of this verse. It's not just a practice, but it's a developing of a consciousness. It's the consciousness. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes over and over again. It's the attitude in which we work. The work which we perform, the sangha that we have, is in one sense, of course, it has its external activity of spreading the mission, of keeping us busy. But internally it's to change our perception, to change our attitude, to change our mood. Instead of seeing ourselves in the center all the time. Vaidhi Bhakti is to see Krishna in the center, to see our spiritual masters in the center, to see other devotees in the center. Not just to get recognized, to get some facility, to feel happy. Maybe that's there in mixed stage, but that's not the goal. The goal is to come to love of Godhead. It's not just to remain here, trying to fulfill our conditional ideas, our conditional natures, conditional perception. By following the orders of the spiritual master, the idea is that our perception will change. We'll start to see Krishna in the center. We'll start to realize that I exist only for Krishna's pleasure, without asking anything in return. Selfless devotion. Huh? This is what satisfies. This amazing thing is, and you get a glimpse of that in the material world. The more our work is selfless in material terminology, you do feel a kind of a happiness more than just trying to get what you want. When you give to others, mothers know this only too well. But everyone gets a glimpse of it, but it's only a glimpse. Time factor and various conditional factors are there which have limits on it. But in the spiritual realm there is no limit. It's absolute. Absolute is whatever happens. No matter what, Lord Chaitanya's Shastakam prayers are a guiding principle towards this goal. They're a guiding principle. What does Lord Chaitanya say? Later, one of the last verses. You may crush me in your embrace or make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. You're completely free to do anything and everything, but you are always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. There is no condition. We exist for that. The disciple exists for this purpose. We're working towards it. This is the idea. Vaidhi Bhakti is to help us to realize this is our constitutional natures. But unfortunately, those who are the errant souls, those who are antagonistic towards Krishna's desire, see themselves in the center. No matter who we are, what we are, even in the practice of devotional service, that tendency is there. We want respect. We want facilities. We need these things in the childlike stage. But that's not the goal. The goal is Krishna Pamartha Mahan, Prema Pamartha Mahan, love of Krishna. I'll read on. This is, oh my God, time isn't going to allow. I wanted to read something very, as Prabhupada has given us this, although it's the most confidential reasons for the Lord's appearance, it's right in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if you're going to read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you're going to read these verses, and we're reading it right here in public, in one sense, here in Sri Vrindavan Dham. Although these are confidential. Another topic. The pastimes, this is from the Madhya Lila. Now, you may be aware of this chapter number 8 of the Madhya Lila. Who knows what chapter 8 of the Madhya Lila is in relationship with, without looking on your, whatever, mobile phones or whatever. Who knows? Chapter 8, Madhya Lila. Very significant chapter. Every word is significant. This chapter particularly in relation to today's verse. Directly. Who knows what? Don't put it on the board. Who knows what is chapter 8? Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much. The talks between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. They're very confidential, but they're very meaningful in every way. The path, the transformation, the objective goal, the eligibility. The pastimes of Radha and Krishna are very confidential. They cannot be understood through the mellows of servitude, fraternity, or parental affection. Actually, only the gopis have the right to appreciate these transcendental pastimes, and only from them can these pastimes be expanded. Without the gopis, these pastimes between Radha and Krishna cannot be nourished. Only by their cooperation are such pastimes broadcast. Interesting. Only by their cooperation are such pastimes broadcast. It is their business to taste the mellows. Without the help of the gopis, one cannot enter into these pastimes. Only one who worships the Lord in the ecstasy of the gopis, following in their footsteps, can engage in the service of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in the bushes of Vrindavan. We may not be, or we shouldn't be, thinking like that in one sense. We can think like that, but we shouldn't be artificially imagining or imitating this. And Prabhupada gave the mood of a devotee. Where is Krishna, rather than, where is he? Where is he? We should be searching how to find him. Because that's another topic. It's not as easy as that. Where do we find him? Only then can one understand the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. There is no other procedure for understanding. Prabhupada quotes many scriptures in the purports to these verses. He quotes from Ujjvala Nilamani quite a lot, Gita Govinda quite a lot. Various very confidential, intimate pastimes. Prabhupada quotes them. In the conjugal pastimes of Krishna, this is from Ujjvala Nilamani, Krishna is a hero, And Radhika is the heroine, the Nayika and the Nayika. The first business of the gopis is something in relationship, something we can learn from. The first business, there's a whole list of their businesses in relationship with Krishna. That doesn't mean mundane businesses. They're what they have, inspirations in relationship with Krishna. The first one is to chant the glories of both the hero and the heroine. That's the first one. And then there are many others which may be a little inaccessible to us right now. But this is the first one. You start with number 1. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is literally, isn't it? This is what he's doing. What is the Maha Mantra? Anyone know it? Still chanting? Okay, good. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What does it mean? It means many things according to a relationship. But what does it mean at our stage? Somebody's saying in the background very shyly there. The corner. Yes, my dear Lord, please engage me in your service. For so long I've been engaged in the service of your external energy. So we're approaching the internal energy. The internal energy, what is the internal energy? Srimati Radharani. Personification, manifestation. Everything comes from her, the internal energies. You want to be absorbed in that mood. You can't just go there. We have to have the mood. I was listening to Prabhupada this morning, and we hear different things, we know. But Prabhupada's going over and over and again. If you have an inkling of desire for sense gratification, you have to take a material body again. We have to develop. There's a famous conversation. You remember that conversation of Srila Prabhupada when he was discussing the moon landing? And Prabhupada was saying how you have to have the right body. You have to have a different body to enter the moon. And the man could not understand what Prabhupada was referring to, really. I mean, he was thinking a space suit. You can't go to Goloka Vrindavan with a space suit. You can't even go to the moon, what to speak of Goloka. Yes, there has to be a change of body, but that change of body is not this one. Some gross body, fit is described later on, fit to be eaten by jackals. This body is not suitable. It's suitable to utilize in the process. Material body. We have to have a spiritual body. What is a spiritual body? We're hearing what a spiritual body is. What is it? A spiritual body. Pardon? Somebody said something? Huh? You say? Soul. Well, you are a soul. You're a spark. Yes, when our heart is imbued with pure love, our consciousness is a state of consciousness. It's the mood, the deep consciousness, which we're hearing about from the gopis here. We read on. Prabhupada says, so in the chanting of the holy name, this is the process Lord Chaitanya has given us to develop that inner state of consciousness where we have no desire other than to please the Lord. By deeply taking shelter of the holy name, hearing the holy name consciously. It's not just mechanical, but being conscious in our chanting. Prayerful, desirous. We want to please Krishna. Nothing pleases Krishna more than the service of the gopis, their mood, They only think of Krishna's happiness. They think of nothing else. When Srila Prabhupada went to the Western world, one of his inspirations was a commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on the Bhagavad-Gita. Famous verse, 241. Vyavasayatmika buddhire keo kurunandana bahushaka yanantasya buddhyo vyavasayanam. What is this verse? It's very famous, huh? Those who are on this path, the intelligence of those who are on this path, they're resolute, fixed. Their aim is one. For those who are not on this path, their intelligence is many-branched. So many desires to fulfill is not one-pointed. Devotion, Eka Bhakti, is one-pointed. And Prabhupada, the commentary of the Vishwanath Chakravarti, Prabhupada himself, refers to this as a great inspiration. I do have it here somewhere. I'm going to have to rush over. So many wonderful verses here. But I don't want to miss this with the short time we have. Otherwise we'll have to summarize it if I can't find it. I can't find it. We'll just summarize it. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the instruction of my spiritual master to always think of Krishna, to always think of his name, form, pastimes, qualities, etc. is all that matters to me. It is my only sadhana, my only sadhya. Whether I go to hell or heaven, it doesn't matter. The instruction of my spiritual master is all that matters to me. Nothing else matters. This is our life and soul. Prabhupada said this is his life and soul. Just to fulfill that instruction, at least to endeavor to fulfill it. How can we ever repay the debt? We can never do it. Impossible. But we have that mood of total desire to simply please, ultimately, Krishna. We please the gopis. How do we please the gopis? How do you please Radharani? By pleasing the gopis. We cannot approach Radha Krishna, as Prabhupada said, without the cooperation and mercy of the gopis. How do we please the gopis? Do we have access? Do you have access? How do we please the gopis? We don't have the qualifications. We're not able. Even Lakshmi wasn't able to enter in. Or to speak of us. And she does have a spiritual body. But the mood of her spiritual body was not suitable. We certainly don't have the mood, nor do we have a suitable body. So what's our eligibility? How do we get that mercy? How do you get that mercy? And pray for it. There's more to it than just prayer. How do we get it? We can, follow in the mood, the footsteps which we glanced upon, that mood of selflessness. And how is that made available? How can we follow? How is that process of following in their footsteps made available? Beautiful verse. That's one verse which we were going to discuss later on, but we don't have time. This is a whole, oh my goodness. We could go on all morning. Tavakatam ritam tapta jivanam kavibiritam kamashapaham shravanamangalam srimadatitam bhuvi grinantiye burita janaha. Who spoke that verse? Who knows? Pardon? Who spoke it? The gopis, particularly Radharani and the gopis. Also that verse was spoken by who? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't know what chapter, it's the chapter of, I think, maybe Beta Kirtan pastimes, or the Lord's dancing at Rath Yatra, one or the other. There's one famous interaction between Lord Chaitanya and who? King Prataparuta. And it was King Prataparuta who recited this on the direction of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, of course. But he recited this verse to Lord Chaitanya. And what was the reaction of Lord Chaitanya? Lord Chaitanya was actually resting. He was in kind of sleep, you could say, resting there. But when he heard this verse from the lips of Prataparudra Maharaj, he immediately arose and embraced the king. You are the most magnanimous. You are the most merciful. You are giving me the greatest gift. I have nothing to give you in return. And the verse means, spoken by the gopis, in Gopi-Gita, when Lord Krishna left the rasa dance, the nectar of your words and descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in the material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. Buddha-jana. They're the most magnanimous people. Some devotees say that this is not the mission, to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. But this is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the mission of the gopis mentioned here. Why? Because they want to increase Krishna's pleasure. They're not just interested in their own pleasure. They want to see everyone else come into the pleasure also. They want to see everyone else bring pleasure to Krishna. This is preaching. It's not just about saving conditioned souls. It's all about increasing Krishna's pleasure, following in the footsteps of the gopis, to reunite Krishna's parts and parcels with him, so they bring pleasure to him. That's what this movement's for. It's not to bring us pleasure exactly. We may think like that. And then we always run into problems because somebody along the line, the temple president or the guru or the GBC, is not bringing me pleasure. Or what I read in the book. Or so a devotee is serving prasadam, didn't give enough gulabs. I don't like this. We're thinking of our own pleasure. This mood of the gopis is not like that. And this is the mood of the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To reunite all the living entities, every single one of them, so they can bring pleasure to Krishna. It's not to get liberated. That's for our own sense gratification. It's greatest barren. Or to get some, material returns, go to heaven or something. No, that's the goal. And we can keep that goal in mind. It helps us a little bit to overcome some of the challenges, if we want to call it that, which we face in our endeavors. Always there's some problems there. I'll scoot back to these verses. We won't have time to cover it all, but we'll try to cover some of it. He says clearly on the table here, kindly. Well, I'm not a very kind person, so I don't think that gives me an excuse. But it says, kindly conclude the class by 9 a.m. sharp. Okay. Garmatma's there with a knife if you cut the wire if you carry on after that. But I've got a loud voice, I can shout. Take the chair away, maybe. What? There is an inexplicable fact. We're going back now to the pastimes of chapter 8. The discussion between Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya. The happiness of the gopis increases 10 million times when they serve to engage Sri Radha and Krishna in their transcendental pastimes. So this is another angle. This angle is that they're not just thinking of Krishna's pleasure, full stop. They're thinking that other devotees, if they are with Krishna, they will bring more pleasure to Krishna than if I'm with Krishna. They're always appreciating the service of the other devotees greater than their own. It's another aspect which we can incorporate in our lives. One, the mood, which we've been trying to discuss a little bit. And this is another one, to appreciate the service of all other devotees. It may be a little artificial, but at least we can try to see the good in others. Everyone's got something. And one time Bhakti-Siddhanta Maharaj was talking with one disciple, and the disciple was in a bit of a critical mood, criticizing one devotee. Of course, none of you ever criticize a devotee. You don't know what that means, to criticize a devotee. But he was a little critical. And after some time, Bhakti-Siddhanta Maharaj said, "Can you not think of anything good about that devotee?" And he thought for a moment. He said, "Well, he's a good mridanga player." He said, "Well, why didn't you say that? Why do you talk all the negative? Try to see something at least. We may not be so advanced that we see the good in everyone, even if there isn't any. But at least we could try to be a little bit more, positive." And there's another one. So their happiness increases 10 million times when they see others, when they like to bring. Radharani likes to bring the other gopis to serve Krishna. They want to see Radharani with Krishna or another gopi with Krishna. They think they can bring more pleasure to Krishna. The whole mood, everything about the spiritual world is to bring more pleasure to Krishna. That's what it means. And Krishna's mood is to bring more pleasure. And this is the contradictory factor which is mentioned in the verse today. That Krishna's mood is he wants to bring, when one has that mood, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Krishna wants to give the devotee more and more pleasure. The devotee doesn't want it, but Krishna wants it. He wants to see his devotees happy. His happiness is the devotee's happiness. This is love. You don't ask for it. It comes automatically. Devotional service is like that, isn't it? The more our service is selfless, the more satisfied you are. You don't ask for it, but it just happens. Hankerings for material sense enjoyment, whatever it may be. A pizza, ice cream, whatever it is. No more important. No, respect, doesn't matter. They're oblivious to public opinion. Doesn't matter. We're not trying to be a good boy on social media. That's not the idea. The only purpose is what pleases Krishna. The gopis are not so pleased when they directly mix with Krishna as when they serve to unite Srimati Radharani with Krishna. Their transcendental pleasure lies in uniting them. So the same thing, the Sankirtan movement is uniting everything with the will of Krishna. Things, like here in the temple, you're using everything that comes here, right, Panchagoda Prabhu? You're thinking how this can fulfill the mission of Srila Prabhupada, which is the mission of Lord Chaitanya, which is the mission of the gopis. The same thing. That's what you're thinking. You may not think along those lines, but that's what it is. How to improve the facilities. How to make the prasadam more attractive. How to look after the devotees nicer. Everything. Isn't it? How to worship the deities. So many things. This is their mood. We're not thinking, oh, now I can take something from my house. I can have a nice big house. I can go for a nice holiday now in Hawaii. I hope you're not thinking like that. No, everything is for Krishna. The objects, the bricks, the stones, everything. What to speak of ourselves, the soul, everything is for the pleasure, meant for the pleasure of Krishna. This is devotion. This is the path of Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam. This is the path. And this, in the right association with the right understanding, this have to develop this mood of selflessness. Another aspect of this is, which we hear very regularly, Srila Prabhupada often quotes this example of watering the root of a tree. When we water the root, if you have a tree, there's a lovely tree, here's the mao tree. Now, it's a little different. We're in India, things grow mystically in India. But in the West, normally you have to water trees. But what do you do? Do you water the leaves? Do you water the branches? Let's say we're a little tiny twig out there on the end of the branch. Little tiny leaf at the end of the branch. I want to be watered. So what do? I come along and pour all the water on you? That's what I want. Is that going to help me? Is that going to nourish me? I might feel good for a few minutes. Right? Wow, that was really good. Do it again. You know, to hell with all the other leaves. Just do me. It's me. Is that how we really get nourished? Not really. It's watering the root, isn't it? Because we water the root, and we all know the root of everything is Krishna. He's the Sarva Karana Karana, the cause of all causes. He's the root of everything. Hum Sarvasya Prabhu. Everything comes from Krishna. He's the root. So by watering Krishna's will, or serving his will, everyone's will is satisfied. You don't have to worry about that. Krishna takes care of a surrendered soul. So we try to work towards that. We may not be on that platform, but that's the purpose of this movement. To help us to change our perception from Atmendriya, seeing ourselves in the center, to Krishnendriya, seeing Krishna in the center. Prabhupada is a living example of that. Underwent anything for that purpose. Criticisms, health issues, crazy people, all kinds of challenges, unending challenges, to try to establish or to awaken this mood within us. So that watering the root of the tree, the twigs automatically are nourished. The leaves are nourished, learning how to water the root. Here's another one. Although the gopis, Srimati Radharani's friends, do not desire to enjoy themselves directly with Krishna, Radharani makes a great endeavor to induce Krishna to enjoy himself with the gopis. So she herself takes that on board. And it just keeps on increasing. When Krishna's happy, the gopis are 10 million times happier. When Krishna sees them 10 million times happier, he's 10 million times happier. You can't imagine what that's like, is it? I can. Happiness is a relative thing, up and down like a yo-yo. This is ever increasing. Where's it increasing? It has no limits. No limits. Happiness. Srimati Radharani, Prabhupada writes, and the gopis are not interested in their personal happiness, derived from association with Krishna. I want to see Krishna. I remember Vishaka, Dasi, when she was here in 75 at the installation of Krishna Balaram deity, because she's famous, wonderful devotee, and famous for photography also. So she was taking pictures, and there was one sannyasi kind of blocking the center stage in front of Krishna Balaram, who was thinking, I am here, I am a sannyasi, maybe. I am taking darshan of Krishna. What can we see? What is our darshan? His darshan is really what Krishna's seeing. But what is he seeing? Okay, it's nice mood. But she said, okay, but if you just step aside, you may be seeing Krishna now, but if you step aside, the whole world will see him. And she took that picture, famous picture, which is all over the books everywhere. The whole world can see. Like that. Just put aside so everyone else can be there. This is the mood of a devotee, not just I'm in the center. So even Radharani, that's her mood. That's her mood. She wants to bring everyone else to Krishna's pleasure. And they become happy by seeing one another associate with Krishna. In this way, their dealings are further nourished by love of Godhead, and seeing this, Krishna is very pleased. He's pleased to see this mood. We want to please Krishna. He's pleased to see us trying to chant Hare Krishna. He's pleased to see us trying to distribute books. We have the marathon coming up. I'm going to wind up because we're on page 2. And there's a lot more pages, but anyway, forget it. Just wind up with a selfish, motivated conclusion. He knows what it is. This is our temple president in Paris, Jiva Pram Prabhu. He's just joined us here in Vrindavan. We're getting ready for a yajna. Yajna Sankirtanam prayer. Yajanti Hisumedasha. What is the yajna that we're supposed to perform? Intelligent persons in this age of Kali worship the Lord by the performance of Sankirtan Yajna, isn't it? Sankirtan Yajna. This is the process. We may not be able to, some devotees try to imitate these things. We can hear about them and try to understand. This is our objective. This is what pleases Krishna. This is what we've got to work towards. But right now we have to work towards what is right here and now. Living times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. So right now, already devotees in Vrindavan have started their Prabhupada book marathon. Maybe I'll get in trouble for ending the class on this one. It seems a long way away from, dancing in the groves of Braj or something. Many of you are staying here, and whatever your service you're doing, pray for us. We're going to be heading off in a few days to Paris to try to distribute books on the streets. You're all welcome, by the way. We'll rent a hotel if you all come. We'll bring in another 30,000 Bhagavad-Gitas for you. But this is the mood. This is the mood to assist Prabhupada in spreading the message. That message which the gopis said should be spread all over the world. This is our mood. How to be an instrument to increase the pleasure of the gopis, the pleasure of Krishna, by distributing these transcendental books of Srila Prabhupada all over the world. And of course, as a follow-up, we should also ourselves absorb ourselves in them and help others to do likewise. But particularly at this stage, to distribute Prabhupada's books in large quantities as we can. We all know those who were around at the time, how Prabhupada was so pleased. I'll finish, actually, I'm always breaking the law. I'll break another law here. I'm still on French time, so it's 4 o'clock in the morning. So got plenty of time. This is, where are we? Here we are. Please forgive me. Where is it? Yeah, this is a letter Prabhupada wrote when he was in France, in Paris of all places, in 1974. Prabhupada wrote to a devotee named Nandalal. I don't know, they were in New Vrindavan, I don't know them. We had Nanda Gopal Prabhu, Nandalal. Some of you may know Nandalal. You remember Nandalal? And he writes, this is kind of really an encouraging, we shouldn't try to think, oh, I'm on that level. But Prabhupada was comparing it like this. The explanations, Prabhupada wrote, given by Rameshwar, that Sankirtan is Lord Chaitanya's Lila, which he compares to the gopis trying to engage others in Krishna's service, is the correct understanding. The correct understanding. Yeah, you have a comment on that one. Keep it a little short because I got to finish. He's going to get on my case in a minute. I knew you have a whole lecture to give, but keep it short. I haven't got any means to give you a mic. He's not even giving you a microphone. He doesn't want you to speak. Save it for after. You have to keep it under the carpet for a minute. And I'll finish my spiel, then you can, if you can grab a mic, you can say what you like, because nobody's going to hear a word you say unless you have a mic. I'll just finish off on this letter which Prabhupada wrote to Ganesham, who became, of course, our great sannyasi, Bhakti-Tirtha Maharaj. Then he was known as Ganesham. Many of you knew Ganesham. He was, we could talk for hours on Ganesham Prabhu or Bhakti-Tirtha Maharaj, isn't it? Such an amazing soul, sold out to Srila Prabhupada. I had the good fortune of traveling him on the library party for some time. Anyway, he wrote a report. This is in 1977, I think. I just got the timing. Yeah, 77, maybe June 77. He wrote a report of their book distribution behind the Iron Curtain. They were distributing Prabhupada's books. At that time there was an Iron Curtain, Eastern Europe, in various colleges, universities and institutes in countries like Poland and Czechoslovakia in those days, Hungary, Yugoslavia, different countries, wherever they could go, distributing Prabhupada's books at great risk. Prabhupada was so pleased. Prabhupada was not answering personally the letters in those days because of his health. He was dictating or approving in this case it was Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who was writing on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. So he replied to the report which Ganesham, Guru Das was with him at that time, had written to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was so pleased. I like to read the whole report, but maybe I'll miss a little bit. I read your report, Tamal says to Prabhupada, from beginning to end. Your report is unquestionably the most nectarian of all reports His Divine Grace receives. It has become a regular weekly or fortnightly feature of His Divine Grace's program. And when he hears that it has arrived, he awaits with great anticipation to hear it. That's their report on the book distribution. With closed eyes, Srila Prabhupada drinks in your opening prayers and then floats in an ocean of bliss as he hears descriptions of your one successful battle after another. Just like the Gopis saying, descriptions of your pastimes are the most nectarian and the medicine to cure the disease. Your reports are so nice that Prabhupada simply laughs, smiles, nods his head, or exclaims with great surprise at a particularly wonderful sale. That means book distribution, not book sale. During his last report, His Divine Grace did not say one word. At the end, after the description of the bookshop that took over 1,000 of his books, I requested His Divine Grace to please dictate a reply to you. All that he would say is, my hearty congratulations. Actually, the situation seems to me to be in a very small scale, like the message sent by Akrura with Uddhava for the gopis. The service of the gopis was so first class that Lord Krishna felt completely unable to repay them for their loving devotion to him. Therefore, he sent a message to Uddhava that you please be satisfied by your service. In a similar way, the service which you are rendering to His Divine Grace through the topmost transcendental book distribution, preaching, is so exalted that I get the feeling that Srila Prabhupada feels very much indebted to you. Same reciprocation. He no longer can find words to thank you enough for the service which you are doing. Therefore, this letter cannot be filled with quotations from His Divine Grace, because practically he was speechless throughout your report. Thus, you will have to satisfy yourself simply with the service which you are doing. And that's what Krishna said to the gopis. That service of book distribution is the perfection of life. And no doubt, one feels fully fulfilled while performing it. Please be satisfied in the ecstasy of book distribution and know that your activities are giving His Divine Grace more life force. They're bringing Prabhupada life. We would, in London in 77, when Srila Prabhupada came, we tried to double book distribution during the week or two that he was there. That was our target, not to sit around just seeing a glimpse or maybe hearing a word, but fulfilling his mission. This is the business of a devotee, to fulfill the mission of the Guru. So every day we would try to go out and distribute books more and more and more and more. And the report would be taken to Prabhupada every morning. And perhaps one devotee said, this may be a little tiring for Srila Prabhupada to hear this. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj presented it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, no, this is what is giving me life, to hear this, how these books are being distributed. This is spreading the mission, the mood of the gopis all over the world through Sankirtan, chanting, distributing books, preaching. It's our good fortune to be a little tiny part of that. And we request everyone to please take part in this service to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki jai.